Welcome to another edition of the Demon Huddle, presented by the Cross Financial Group, joined as always to start things off by the head demon himself, Coach Blaine McCorkle. And Coach, Saturday at Turpin Stadium got moved up a little bit because of the weather, but in some ways, I don't know if the timeline has been moved up, but there were certainly strides taken that I think everyone there at Turpin and watching on ESPN Plus were able to see.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question we're a better football team than we were a year ago and in the past. They're not translating into wins yet. Losses are never acceptable, but there is growth, and I've heard a lot of times success is defined as improvement. So there are some simple successes in there. We still obviously got a long way to go, as a top 15 football team, and they're very deserving of that. They're 7-1 now and do a great job. They've won 7 games in a row. So 2 weeks in a row, we kind of got to feel what the top level of FCS football feels like. And I do think we improved from the Southeastern game to the Lamar game and understanding that atmosphere and that level of competition. So things to work with, things to grow on, but plenty of still improvement to be made as well. So it was some really good film to watch, and we'll take a lot away from that game Saturday.
So I talked to you, obviously, I get the chance to talk to you after the game each time we play, whether it's home or away. But when you did go back and watch the film as a staff on Sunday and maybe some in this Monday morning, what did you see maybe from a different lens than you thought you saw Saturday?
Well, I think the film carried over to what I saw on Saturday. I think it was kind of what I expected to see. We saw a lot of really, really young guys playing really, really hard. Saw some missed opportunities in all 3 phases of the game that those young guys will look at and see and learn from. And there's a lot there. But I think the game kind of played out on film as it did on game day. There was no real surprises of, if we would have seen this or if we would have done that. It was kind of what it was. It was, they're a big, physical, strong football team. Give them credit. They're going to win a lot of games before the year's over and possibly win a share or the outright title, depending on how things go. But they're right there in the mix. And I think we had a good plan. I think we did some things really well. But again, just things with the youth to grow on and get better at.
It's got to make you feel good when Pete Rosamondo, and you mentioned your appreciation for his program and the way he does things, and he and his staff, to hear him say post-game, we were in a dogfight certainly for the first half, and Blaine and his staff did a really good job putting their guys in position to do that. That's got to make you feel good and feel, again, you don't listen to the outside noise, but when you do hear some reinforcement from outside, to make you feel a little bit better.
Yeah,
I feel like you're going in the right way.
Yeah, no, and I have no doubt that we're on the right track, and I appreciate Pete's compliments to our program. All of the coaches this year in the Southland Conference have been extremely complimentary of the improvement we've made from year 1, year 2. It's kind of those things you see them before the game, you see them after, and week in, week out. I think we played 4 conference games. All 4 of them have said the exact same thing. Boy, you're not the same team. You're so much improved, and I appreciate that. It doesn't surprise me because that's what we're here to do. We're here to improve. And I believe in what we're doing. Our staff believes in what we're doing, and we're kind of staying the course and putting together good plans every week. And our kids are learning to execute them better. I don't know if there's outside noise or not. I don't pay attention to that. I don't have time for that. All I worry about is what we're doing because the only experts about Northwestern State football are the ones in our building every day. And we know exactly what we're doing and where we're going. And we were really encouraged about the path that we're on, even though the losses right now are frustrating. We definitely see what's coming.
We've talked about it, I don't know, maybe ad nauseum at this point, but with the youth, there is double-edged sword is not the right word because that comes as a sign of negativity or a connotation of negativity. But the flip side of this youth is you're seeing guys grow right in front of us. Yeah. And Brendan Webb and Jimmy Duncan are 2 guys you've talked about, 2 wide receivers you've talked about all year. And we saw them both kind of explode in the same game on Saturday.
Yeah, that's another one of those. We've had a few I told you so's throughout the year, and this is another one of those told you so's. We knew that there was going to be a game where those 2 guys really stepped up and made a lot of plays, and they did. And I think that's just a sign of things that will come to them hopefully for the next 3 years here because I think they're really good players, and I think they fit what we're trying to do offensively. They fit this university, and we're really excited about that. So that was 2 freshmen catching a lot of balls from a freshman. Getting protected by 2 freshman tackles this week. So, we've talked about it a lot. Everybody knows it, but it's true. Kind of like we said, last week about where we are. We said at the beginning of the season we were playing the toughest schedule in school history with the youngest team in the country, and that hasn't changed. We're still there. So when you see those guys start to make some plays, make some progress, that's encouraging about the things that are coming for sure.
Not a mistake. You've talked about Abram Johnson's ability to not make the same mistake twice. There's a play in the first half where he's got Brendan Webb on a go route, I guess, for lack of a better term, just overthrows it going with the wind in his back. Second half, Similar play, defender falls down, similar route, on
Yeah.
the money, maybe a little bit out, but Brendan makes a great hands catch and takes it to the house. Again, that ability to process and improve within a game.
Yeah, that's right. And Coach Joseph does a great job with him. As soon as he comes off the sideline, he sits down and he goes through every snap that was snapped in the previous drive and really has him ready to go the next time he goes out there. And the two of them have good chemistry and are working well together, along with Coach Stewart. So there's the sideline communication's good, and those are things that young quarterbacks are going to learn. Is okay, where's the wind? What kind of conditions are we playing in today? Do I have to drive the ball? Do I need to put a little more air under it? Things like that. And that's where Abram's smart. That's where he's going to continue to get better. So, you're exactly right. We did see it in game. Actually, the first one I think he missed was Jimmy, and the one he hit was Brennan. But they're one and the same. Two really good freshman receivers out there doing a good job.
Speaking of good job, you went up against arguably, if not the best, maybe one of the best offensive lines in the Southland Conference in Lamar. And your defense, in terms of pass rush, was probably as most effective as it's been all year.
Yeah, it was. Coach Connor referred to them last week as man movers. That's what they are. They're big, strong, and if they get their hands on you, they're going to take you where they want you to go. But we did get some good pass rush. Our defensive line, we really challenged them all week to, get in the fight for 4 quarters, and they did. And we got some good pass rush, and again, saw some young guys on the defensive line step up. Ben Bienvenu getting in there making some plays from right here in Natchitoches, and Braden Woods from right here in Natchitoches. Two redshirt freshmen that are hometown guys in there, hitting the quarterback and making plays and running around doing some good things, coupled in with a few older guys, on the defensive line with Clinton and Cam and those guys. So that was really encouraging to see, and those guys played really hard too against a really, really good football team. And going into the fourth quarter, I think it's 24-7 going to the fourth quarter. We have a couple penalties in the red zone that hurt us, have a turnover that hurts us, and that got the score sideways in a hurry late. But going in the fourth quarter, it's a ball game. And if we can kind of avoid those penalties and those, late scores when you're kind of running out of gas with your depth and your youth, that could have easily been a 24, 27, 14 ball game. And that's a whole different feel. Even though you still lose the game, still has a completely different feel as you're leaving the stadium.
You touched on it. I think we touched on it at halftime coming out. You and I talking about it was some missed opportunities. It could have been, you're talking about 24-14. It could have been 17-17 going in halftime.
Yeah, that's right. We took the second drive of the game. We go all the way down the field, get inside the 5, and come away with no points. We had a misalignment on offense. We didn't get lined up exactly how we're supposed to do, and that kind of hurt the flow of a play. And then we get the field goal blocked, which we can't do that. Our operation time was slow. We've got to be better there, and they know that. To come away with no points when you get that close against a team like Lamar really, really hurts you. But that could have been 14 in a hurry. 14-17, whatever, coming in the half. At worst, 17-10 if you make the field goal. So we were kind of right there in the game and felt really good coming out of the half, but we knew that the second half would be a struggle because of age, experience, and depth. That's where a team like that's got you a little bit.
When you look ahead now, you're going to get back on the road. We're finally in the flip-flop part of the schedule, home, away, home, away, home, away, home to finish. You head to McNeese. It's a rivalry game. You got your first taste of the rivalry last year, but now you get to go down to Lake Charles for the first time, and you'll do so, I guess, with a feeling of some momentum to take with you to Lake Charles.
Yeah, I think so. Our kids are resilient. They're a really unique group. I think they're extremely young, as we know. We've said it ad nauseum, as you said, but they're also really mature in their youth. And I think they understand the big picture of our program, who we are, why we're where we are, and where we're going. So, that's one thing about them is every week they get excited to play. They don't play well every week, but they do get excited, and they recognize this as a rivalry week. To go in there to Navarre Stadium now is a great atmosphere. It's one of the best atmospheres in FCS football, and it's a great venue. And McNeese is a historical rivalry, and I think our guys will be really excited to play. They had a tough one at Nichols last week. Nichols got away from them a little bit, but as I watched that game and I've kind of followed those two teams this year, I think if Nichols and McNeese play 10 times, it's maybe 5-5. Nichols just got the best of this one. So we'll have our work cut out for us, and Coach Viator's back there kind of revitalizing, putting some new juice back into the program. So that's exciting for them, and should be a fun night.
One thing I'll say before we'll let you get out of here, as we head into there, we talked about momentum. You've talked about how excited they are to play. It was good to see kind of walking through the sidelines on Saturday. There was a play, I forget when the offense made a play, but I remember seeing specifically DJ Johnson on the sideline pumping his fist. I mean, it was one of those things, it was kind of early in the game, but you've talked about it and reiterated here just how much this team seems to care for one another and is still together even though when you talk about it, young team, as they grow, they have managed to hold the rope through these first 8 weeks together.
Yeah, they really have, and I think that's one of the biggest differences in this year and last year. Last year, I can't say that was the case. I think there were some moments late in the year last year where some negativity crept in. People listened to maybe some of those outside voices, some guys kind of looking forward to the season to get over, and that's not where our team is now. We've grown tremendously in that category from a culture standpoint, from a character standpoint, from a buy-in standpoint. Our guys care about each other. They like celebrating each other's successes, and they want to win. The one thing's for sure is it's not like these kids are enjoying this process. They're, as I said, they're realistic and they're mature as they go through it, but they want to win and they get excited for each other to make big plays, and it's always encouraging.
Well, Coach, I want to wish you the best of luck as you head to Lake Charles. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator Matt Connor. You're watching the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial here on YouTube.
Super One Foods is proud to be named the official grocery store of the Northwestern State University Demons. No matter where you gather to watch the game, we've got everything you need at Super One Foods, all at super low prices. Plus, you can order online and enjoy same-day pickup with our convenient curbside service. Talk about a game changer. Score big when you shop at Super One Foods, your official NSU Demons grocery store.
Welcome back into the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial here on YouTube, joined now by Northwestern State Defensive Coordinator Matt Connor as the Demons get ready to head to McNeese. And Matt, we'll just jump into last week. Certainly the first quarter. Where would you rank that first quarter in terms of where you've seen this defense in the first 20 or so games you've been the defensive coordinator here?
Yeah, it's up there. I think our guys did a really good job showing up with some energy and some passion and, fighting through the first half. We had some situations there where we let them get in the end zone. But really proud of how they handled that first quarter. Really proud of how they handled the second drive. We look up and hold them to a field goal in the first drive and then end up getting they get the ball on I don't know exactly what it was. It was the 25-yard line or something like that. And I think our defense showed a little bit of toughness there to go out there and not let them get those 20 yards. And I actually backed them up a little bit and ended up forcing a field goal that they ultimately missed. And really proud of how they handled that sudden change and being put in that situation, which that happens in football. Defense has got to go respond.
We've talked about local kids a lot this year. Braden Woods has been one that you and I have talked about. But Ben Bienvenu came in after transferring back from UL Lafayette last year where he redshirted. So it may take him a little longer to fit in, but he started to make some plays. When you look at those two guys, just as a kind of a general talking point within the city, what does it mean to have local kids who produce, not just are part of the team, but are actually out there producing and getting some local eyes back on them?
Yeah, it's anytime you have an opportunity to bring in somebody that is invested into the community as those two guys and their families, it's always a plus for the program. It's even more of a plus when they can actually contribute and get out there and help make plays. And so we're extremely proud to have both of those guys. I'll tell you, the future for both of those guys here is extremely, extremely bright. And just really excited for what they're doing, really excited for Ben to kind of get out there and get his first taste of the action. And again, the sky's the limit for both of those guys over their next 4 years here.
I'll tell you what, I want the Braden Woods workout plan.
Yeah.
I need to trim some of this and make it a little bit more productive weight. But speaking of production and that group, we talked about them kind of getting in, and Coach McCorkle talked about it getting toward the quarterback. Clinton Anakuru, Cam George, that defensive line, maybe the most effective pass rush we've seen from a Demon team this year.
They did a really good job understanding their pass lanes, and Coach Bales does a really good job all week working and getting those guys ready. And we thought we had a really good plan, especially on first and second down to rush the passer. We knew that they wanted to try to push the ball down the field and take their shots, and with that, the quarterback has to hold on to the ball a little bit longer. And so did a really good job with the first, second down pass rush and being able to get to the quarterback. And even on the times that we didn't sack him, just putting him a little pressure on him. Now he can't step into a throw. It's those little bitty microscopic things that you see that win or lose football games. And there's a lot of times where we don't get credit for a sack, but we were close enough to him. He couldn't step into a throw. Now the ball sails over the receiver's head. And it's hard to see with the naked eye, but it's really cool when it all works together.
Couple that with the wind, and it certainly can be there.
Yeah.
You know, Colby Cage's back of his helmet gets a pass breakup going into the wind, but he's in the right position to make the play. And we talked about Ramon Rinkin last week and how he was kind of invisible, and that being a good thing. He makes a couple of plays, gets the fumble recovery there at the end. And again, we've talked about it. This team, even down at that point by 27 points with time ticking down under the final 2-minute timeout, still playing, still diving on a loose ball, still trying to make a play and, finish out strong.
Yep. Yeah, they do. Partially because they don't have a choice. That's kind of the standard and what we expect out of them. But we haven't really had to coach that a whole lot, which makes me very, very proud. These kids don't have very much quit in them at all. And I'm extremely proud of that. And they just keep playing and they stay encouraged. And when you get down there on those huddles on the sideline and the game might be out of hand, it's really, really encouraging to hear those guys and how they talk to each other and how they continue to encourage each other and just go out there and try to play one play at a time. And they have no quit, and they're going to fight to the end. And for that, I'm extremely proud of them.
Follow up the same thing I asked Blaine about in the first segment of the show. A play early, I believe it was early in the game, maybe early in the second half, when I happened to be passing through the sidelines, and you could see the defensive backs, and like I said, DJ Johnson was one that both fists are curled up. He's yelling and screaming. These guys are continuing to celebrate each other, even on the other side of the ball. Again, kind of showing that whole team buy-in and camaraderie. Yeah,
you have to have it if you're going to do anything in this sport. It's the ultimate team sport. And so when you get a group of guys that are playing for one another and they're just as happy for the guy next to them when he makes a play as they would be for them, that's when you start to have something special. And it is really cool to see those guys celebrate each other and have fun playing the game. I try to remind, at least once a week, I try to remind the defense that at some point in their career, their life, they started playing football because it was fun. And that can't ever change. Football is fun. And when guys make plays, that needs to be celebrated and it needs to be exciting and there needs to be some passion behind it. And what you're describing is exactly what we saw.
And those are a little more fun when you are the ones making the play.
Yeah.
As you get ready to head down to McNeese, it's going to be an interesting thing. You kind of saw some, for lack of a better term, maybe some old school football with what Pete Rossimondo and Lamar wants to do on the offensive side. You're going to go to another old school coach with Matt Viator coming in, and it's a little different McNeese team than we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, it is. They're much more balanced than I feel like they were last year. They want to establish a run game, and they have a really good intermediate quick game to go with it. Obviously they got a transfer quarterback, and they were able to go in the offseason, get a handful of transfers, and really plug them in. That helped them kind of immediately. Their offensive line is really, really big, and so we've got to do a really good job matching up there just with the physics of things. I think their defensive left guard, I guess, is 336 pounds. So that's a lot of man to have to stand up against, and we'll be ready for it. Their tight ends are really, really active in the pass game. I think they have probably one of the better receiving tight ends that we faced all year in number 21, and he does a really good job, and him and the quarterback have a really good relationship with each other and seem to find him a lot. So it'll be a good challenge. Our guys will be ready to go. They'll be fired up for this one, and to get to go down and do it at their place, can't wait.
This will be drawing again on some of that experience from earlier in the year. Minnesota, Cincinnati, those big man movers, as you call them, and again, some athletic tight ends that we saw earlier this year.
Yeah, very, very similar. Probably not quite to the scale of Minnesota or Cincinnati, but schematic-wise, there is some carryover. There's a lot of carryover there, and so, like I said, our staff will go together or get together as we already have, and start to build this plan and present it to our players. And I have no doubt what those guys will do this week. They're going to prepare well. They're going to be locked in at practice. They're going to be juiced up when it's time to play the game, and they're going to play for 4 quarters no matter what happens. And we keep doing that. Eventually, we're going to end up on the right side of one of these things.
Well, you get your next chance to do it Saturday night in Lake Charles at 6 o'clock. So, Matt Connor, thank you again for taking your time. And we come back on the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial. We'll speak with assistant head coach and quarterbacks coach Norman Joseph.
Whether it's in the trailer, behind the camera, or on the air, NSU has a place for you. Learn the ins and outs of an ESPN broadcast while getting a full-fledged education in sports media or broadcast journalism. Northwestern State University, new media, journalism, and communication arts. Learn more at nsula.edu/new media.
Welcome back into the Demon Huddle, presented by Cross Financial here on YouTube. Joined now by assistant head coach and quarterbacks coach Norman Joseph, pinch hitting for offensive coordinator Carson Stewart. We're still in the World Series, so pinch hitting still works. Coach, we're going to jump in right before you came on. We'll get into Lamar, but you've got a very interesting nugget as you get ready to go to McNeese this week. You've got a kind of special relationship with Cowboy head coach Matt Viator.
Yes, Matt and I go way back. I recruited him. This was back in the 80s. I was at NLU, Northeast Louisiana University at the time, and we were recruiting down in that area. I went by to see Matt. Matt's dad was a long-time high school coach in Louisiana and had a lot of success. And so when I went to go watch Matt, he was a quarterback and a safety, and by far the best football player on the team. You just knew that he was. You could tell by his instincts that he had been well schooled by his dad, and quite a player. Not necessarily the best athlete, because the team that he was going against was really good, full of athletes. But Matt really put on a show that night, and we offered him, tried to get him to come to NLU, but he decided to stay at McNeese or go to McNeese, and it was a wise choice for him.
A lot of local pull that gets into that, and we've seen that with the last couple of years here. Adding a few Natchitoches kids, guys like Cam Davis on the offensive side. We've talked about Braden Woods, Ben Bienvenu on the other side, and pretty good quarterback that we saw Saturday, and one that's still emerging, and we've talked about him all year, so he seems a little bit older than he is, but Abram Johnson had maybe his most productive game, certainly his most productive game of the season from a statistical standpoint. What did you see? I don't imagine anything really changed other than maybe the execution.
Well, the big thing, if you look at it, we had 5 or 6 deep throws that came into play, and we connected on 3 of them. So they could have possibly been touchdowns. They were not. One of them was, but the other 2 came very close, put us deep into the territory and into Lamar's territory. We came away with the touchdown on one, and the other one we missed a field goal. But the other 2, one was overthrown and one was underthrown. But we feel like that our passing game is coming along. It helps when you get some games under your belt, and in Abram's situation, he's gotten better every ball game, and so now he's beginning to see some things. Has a lot of confidence in his receivers, and they're running good, sharp, crisp routes, catching the ball. There were some really nice catches Saturday on his passes, and we got some capable players there. Got some deep threats as well as some ball control receivers, and we're doing some good things in the passing game.
I think one of those catches was probably Cody Finley's. That one looked like it was well outside his catch radius, and all of a sudden here came 2 hands out of it and just ripped it down. And that's kind of, I think, what, in a situation where it's been next man up. Ty Moore was out this weekend. Cody steps up and makes that play, and that's something that's got to give not just the team confidence, got to build his confidence as well.
Oh, no question. And Cody has gotten better every ball game. When Cody came to the boundary after that series, I said, Cody, you're the only player on this field that could have made that catch. And with his length, his size, his height, and just came down with it, caught it right in his hands, and made a nice run afterwards, and got a penalty, so we got another 15 yards on top of that. So there was a lot of positive things in that ball game. Cody is another player that's just doing exceptionally well for us.
Let's go back to Abram Johnson there. The challenge is there, not just a young quarterback, but a young quarterback dealing with the weather and specifically the wind. We didn't get the rain we expected, thankfully, for moving the game up, but there was a lot of wind, and you could see each team going toward the Fieldhouse side. Each team had a throw that probably has a touchdown if you navigate the wind. What's the challenge, especially as a young quarterback, with that?
Yeah, we want to call plays within his repertoire that he can complete. I think that's number one, and we were doing that. We were calling plays. So when you're going against the wind, there's There's not nearly as many deep throws there, obviously, that you're gonna call, but you're gonna call some things that are some pocket movers and some quick game and things that he can throw. And with Abram's ball, he has a real tight spiral, so the ball goes through the wind or into the wind very well. And then throwing with the wind, you just got to judge it and know your personnel. I think that's the big thing. Know your personnel. Who are you throwing to? And be able to adjust your throws according to your personnel. Also deal with the wind accordingly.
Breakout game for two true freshmen, Jimmy Duncan and Brendan Webb on the outside there. And Coach called it kind of an I told you so moment because he's been talking about them week after week after week. And I know you guys have too, whether it's been in film, whether it's been meetings. When that light does come on, what's that feeling like for a coach to see, okay, here's all the work, and now we're starting to see some production on Saturdays?
Yeah, there's probably a deep breath, big exhale to say, okay, now the lights are on. They're coming around. They're understanding the speed of the game. They're understanding the importance of the game. So many times young players, and I've done this a year or two, so I know young players, they're just glad to get on the field. And then all of a sudden, they start buying into the whole process. Hey, this game is important. This team is important. This play is important. And so now there's a different focus, there's a different execution, and they come alive. And you can see that with those two players, especially true freshmen coming in, playing. They did some really good things early in the year. Now in this back half, let's see them really make some plays for us.
Sometimes is it just one play? Was it maybe Brendan Webb's 1-yard touchdown catch at HCU where he's falling back to a jump shot pass, or maybe that just maybe something as simple as that makes it just, hey, this is really no different than the game I played all my life.
Yes, and he is such a tremendous athlete. Can run, has got great speed, great leaping ability. He was well coached in high school. You can just see that. Catches the ball in his hands, the routes, the crispness of his routes, and so real proud of what he's done. And then you got Jimmy that's local guy as well. You know, I consider him local. Alexandria, been well coached and catches the ball in his hands, strong hands. And those guys are going to be tremendous players for us. Exciting to see what they're doing now. And with these games remaining in the season, would really like to turn them loose and let them go play.
4 left. It's a little different situation than last year when you were waiting maybe to get some guys on the field at this point. But as you head to McNeese and you head to see Matt Viator, your old one-time recruit, what do you expect to see kind of from them defensively? Because again, it's kind of odd because you can maybe go back to some of the archives and find what Matt Viator did at McNeese, but much different maybe than from a year ago.
Yeah. Matt's definitely added his own flavor to it, and doing it from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, there's a few changes from a year ago as well, but they're a 4-man front, 4-2-5. They are blitzing and moving, and they're aggressive with their defensive front, but they're also very aggressive with their secondary. So there's some corner blitzes, there's some safety blitzes. They obviously, just like any other team, there's some linebacker stunts as well. So we know we've got to have a great game plan, a solid game plan. So many times when you face a team that's blitzing, you're not able to go wide open with it because you got to protect the passer and protect some other things. But there's they got a great scheme, and we know that we got to be well prepared going into the ball game.
All right, we all know, as we get you out of here, we all know the Eagles have the tush push. What are we going to call what Caleb Billiot did to get in? Is that the Caleb carry? Is that the
That is really an illegal play. So, but I'm glad they didn't call it. We got the touchdown. It was a positive play for us, and it gave us 7 points on the board.
Well, I'll tell you what, James Brookard, as we get you out of here, the head ref, we talked twice. We talked right after the play and then right after halftime. He said, in case you're wondering, and this will hopefully clarify it, you can pull a runner as long as his momentum is going and you don't lift him off the ground.
Oh.
So if you have momentum, that was
good.
the judgment, was that Abram was falling toward the goal line, so he was able to be pulled in. So, but we'll just keep it simple.
We're going to keep it in-house.
No pull.
There you go.
All right. Well, Coach Joseph, as always, thank you for filling in for Carson Stewart, and thank you for watching another edition of the Demon Huddle presented by Cross Financial here on YouTube.